This is KCCK's Culture Crawl. I'm Dennis Green, and my guest today is Katie Roach from Iowa City. Katie actually wears several hats. You're involved in the administration at the Englert Theatre in Iowa City, but you are also a performer.
Yes.
And we're going to start off by talking about the gig that we're doing together.
Yeah.
With your band, the Dandelion Stompers.
Yeah, thanks. You're sponsoring it for the second year in a row.
This is the Fat Tuesday concert coming up. But first, we should say what a blast we had last fall at the Party in the Barn, where the Dandelion Stompers were the band that played in Ernie Found's barn.
That was an amazing night. Everybody out on the dance floor at the end of the night. I mean, it always feels like the victory for any of our shows when the dance floor is filled at the end of the night. But it was just a sweet night. What's better than playing to an audience of KCCK jazz fans?
That's right. They're
perfect
into the
audience.
music.
Yeah. Exactly.
And for the 2 or 3 KCCK listeners who may not be familiar with the Dandelion Stompers, you fill a kind of an unusual niche in not just in the Iowa City music scene, but kind of in the jazz music scene. You guys really focus on early jazz.
Yeah, primarily 1920s jazz. We've got one song that kind of leans into the 1910s and a couple that stretch into the 1930s, the early 1930s, but it's really a focus on the 20s, which was a really cool fusion of jazz and blues and a lot of call and response. It's kind of a more bawdy era of jazz, which suits my big, loud, burly voice really well.
How did the band come about?
Well, so Chris Clark and I, who founded the band, he and I have talked about playing in a group together for a long time, and he had a 1910s band, jazz group called Mutiny in the Parlor. That was just really fun.
Oh yeah,
they
were great.
Really wonderful project. And he kind of saw the natural end of that band and thought maybe this is the time, and it just came together perfectly. I mean, we were like, oh, we really need an alto sax player, and I mentioned it to Jacob Yarrow over at Hansher, who's the artistic director over there, and his eyes lit up, and he said, oh, could I sit in with you guys? And father and son duo, the Greensteins were father and daughter, duo, the Greensteins were in, and Suzanne Smith, who's got that great big band. And then we needed that rhythm section. We needed Mark and Brandy Jansen, and it's the easiest, happiest little project I've ever been in.
Now, you said you focus in on the 20s. Is it kind of at this point, 3 or 4 years into the life of the band, is it kind of a set repertoire, or are you always kind of exploring and finding, do you find new tunes?
Yeah. Chris is always, I think all of us are kind of listening to the music from that era more and more and finding gems. And a lot of the times Chris has to create the lead sheets for these songs because there's just some...
Oh, sure. There's nothing written down from that era.
Scratchy old recordings. And he doesn't go as far as, writing out the lead solos as much, but definitely a lot of those songs have lost introductions. Kind of the pattern for those songs back in the day were almost like they felt like ragtime intros, and then suddenly then it would just completely switch and be like a 1920s song. And so I think a lot of those intros kind of fell off from the memory of those songs. And so we're working on reviving some of those intros. They tend to be the explanation of what you're about to hear kind of intro.
No.
So it's like, he was cheating on me, and so I started drinking. Okay, now here's the song. That's kind of the thing.
It's like a little prologue in a Shakespeare play where they explain the whole play for you and then do it.
Exactly. Then Richard III killed his brother. Okay, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, you've had a long career as a singer and a musician
in
the area with the Awful Purdies and other bands as well. Did you have to change your style or change your mindset when you started singing this music?
Well, I've been singing jazz since I was about 19 years old, and that's one of the reasons that I moved to New York City in the late 90s was to sing jazz. And so I was focusing on a lot of 30s and 40s jazz when I was in New York, and then also working with ensembles where we were writing our own stuff. I feel like that period of my life helped me get my chops together, and that helped me learn how to really work with a band. But I had to kind of tone down my volume and my rock and roll sensibilities when I was singing that kind of music.
Oh, yeah, but not now.
But not now. Now I can really just wail, and it's cathartic. I mean, I exorcise demons. I always feel so much better after a show. Like no matter what was going on, it just get it all out, give it to the air, and it's done. You know.
So for the second year that we've been involved, you're doing at the Mill a Fat Tuesday concert. So that's coming up, the 28th?
February 28th, Tuesday night. They're making a special red beans and rice like they did last year. We're going to play for about 3 hours, and it should be a really fun show.
And there's a pretty good sized dance floor there.
There is. The dance floor was filled last year. Our friends from Iowa Swing Dance Club and our friends from the Iowa City Balboa group are all I'm sure they're all gonna be showing up in mass. We've got this great relationship with a huge group of dancers in town. Wonderful people. They always get the party started. So.
And what time does it start?
6 o'clock.
Okay, and it's just cover at the door, right? Or are there advance sales?
There's actually advance tickets on the Mill's website, and and you can get tickets at the door.
Might not be a bad idea to reserve a spot in advance.
We were pretty much packed to the gills last year. So, and I feel like it's an early enough show that, people can bring their families if they want. It's kind of nice on a Tuesday night to go out for dinner, see a band, do a little dancing.
Right.
Or you can keep the seat warm, too, if you want. So
kick off the Mardi Gras season with the Dandelion Stompers on Fat Tuesday, the 28th at the Mill. And again, you said starting at 6. Mm-hmm. Now, before we go, time to take off your Dandelion Stompers hat and put on your Englert hat.
I will.
And talk about a few of the things coming up at the theater over the next few weeks.
Well, I think one of the most exciting things that's coming up for us is Mission Creek Festival.
Always a huge thing for this time of year.
It's huge. It's, over half the events that we produce for Mission Creek are free and open to the public. And I think a lot of people don't realize, that the festival is really accessible in that way, especially our literary programming. There's just a ton of that. But it's April 4th through 9th. We're focusing on performance, literature, and community events. The Saturday of Mission Creek, April 8th, if you go downtown Iowa City and walk around, it will be impossible to not run into festival programming. We're a multi-venue festival, so we're programming is taking place in boutiques, it's taking place in bars. There's a comic book fair, there's a book fair, there's readings and musical performances everywhere on that day. But some of the highlights for me, we're doing our first collaboration with Hampshire Auditorium, welcoming them back into the community. It's so exciting to have that beautiful venue, and we've got Andrew Bird playing at Hampshire that evening. And prior to that, one of my favorite writers, Kelly Link, is going to do a reading, a short story writer. So it's really it's a mashup of lit comedy, music, food, all kinds of performances. So.
And, this changing the topic once again, we should also mention Antonio Sanchez. Coming up March 1st with Birdman. Yes,
and that's a collaboration between us and Film Scene, who are some of our closest allies in the downtown. And these film music mashups are just really extraordinary events, and this one's going to be lively. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, for those who don't remember, Antonio Sanchez, the great jazz drummer, I think, didn't he win? Did he win an Oscar for that? Or he was nominated.
Yeah, I don't remember where that landed, but yeah.
Yeah, for the music from Birdman, the Michael Keaton movie. And so he's going to play the soundtrack live while the movie plays.
Yes. Yeah. It's going to be really cool. There's still tickets available for that, though they're going quickly, and people can look out for more collaborations between us and Film Scene in the future. There's a lot of cool stuff on the radar.
I saw Antonio about this time last year for the first time, and I was just blown away.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he is maybe the greatest current jazz drummer in the world right now. He is amazing.
Yeah, he's incredible. Jazz drummers, though, I think that they might just be aliens, and they might just have, they just kind of plop them around the planet, and they're, because when you watch him play, it's so extraordinary. It seems impossible that he can isolate those parts of his body to make the sounds that he makes. He's incredible.
Of course. Now I've said nothing against our great friend Matt Wilson,
right,
or all the other great jazz drummers as well.
Right,
but Antonio is super. So we've hit you with a lot of stuff. So first off, we want to mention the once again Dandelion Stompers, Fat Tuesday, 28th at the Mill.
Yep.
Antonio Sanchez plays the music from the Birdman live while the movie plays on March 1st. And then the Mission Creek Festival, which kicks off
April 4th through 9th.
Okay. And Englert.org for your events, and then Mission Creek has its own website,
Mission
which
Creek,
is?
MissionCreekFestival.com.
And where can we find the Dandelion Stompers online?
We're DandelionStompers.com.
All right. Katie Roach, woman of many hats, joining us to talk about all kinds of stuff coming up. Katie, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.